So looking at this, the third question, the question for August 3rd is, what gives a game staying power? And I thought this was an interesting one. Maybe it was in one of the first 2 years of RPG a Day that I didn't know about it and participate in it. Yeah, I should go back and listen to some of those old ones. But what gives a game staying power? Uh, I think I feel like this question is like this is almost a really obvious question with an obvious answers. And I think a lot of times when I feel that way, it's because I haven't thought broader. I haven't thought outside the box. I'm not thinking about other possible answers. So I'm going to be interested to see what other people say about this. Because my thought about what gives a game staying power, and I'm assuming when they say game, they're actually talking about a system, and not necessarily a system separate from its setting, but just a system. You know, some RPGs have the settings with them, and some don't. I'm assuming that it's talking about whatever's in the main set. And I'm gonna guess what I would say what gives a game staying power is options of characters, like PC characters you could play, and options in the world setting, right? So we're talking about, are there different ways? Can we use the system to represent lots of different kinds of people? Possibly, like if it has personality stuff mechanically represented, then it needs to be flexible enough to cover whatever kind of personality you would want to put in there. If it doesn't, obviously, then you can just do mostly whatever you want, right? If it's class-based, like class-based type things, I don't think those are down to well, that just means you need lots of classes. That's not necessarily true, because the more classes you have usually actually means that the more finite and actually bound each one of those classes is. Now that doesn't actually necessarily remove your ability to play lots of different things, right? Either whether you have 100 classes to pick from that are all very narrow, or you have 5 classes or 10 classes that have lots of flexibility and range within the classes, the end result is the same for you, right? Like you might have 10 to 15 or 20 different as far as mechanics go, like character ideas that you'd like to explore. How the game achieves that is irrelevant, but it needs to have that room, right, for you to explore things. And as far as settings go, it is there more there to do, right? Like I feel like I'm going to give an example here, and it's totally based off of impression. It's based on no evidence, not even anecdotal evidence, okay? So really just take this as a description of what I feel like is possibly out there, okay? So if I'm wrong, don't worry about it. You don't even need to correct me, because I'm not trying to be factually accurate here. I'm trying to describe something. So I feel like if you were, D&D back in the days and you were investigating Dragonlance, or not investigating Dragonlance, but you were in the Dragonlance setting, let's say. If you didn't read the novels that were also produced around that time period, I wonder if there was anything other than to do than go into dungeons and kill orcs and goblins until you can kill trolls, until you can kill manticores, until you can kill dragons. Like I don't know that the game really provided anything more for you there. Now, for people who have read the novels, could they get into some of the politicalness and like maybe do some guild conflict storylines? Could they do I don't, again, I don't know what was out there. Could they let's just leave that as an example there. Could they do like a guild conflict line or something like that? Sure, they could. and maybe some people are okay jumping into that. Me, I always feel really weird if there's a setting in a media other than the RPG book that I've never gotten into. Like I don't really enjoy stepping into that. You know, if the GM knows it and a lot of the other players know it, I feel really unequipped. And I'm not a performance-based person, so it's not like I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing well. I don't care. I'm bad at games, and I'm not a sore loser. I'm a very happy loser. It's none of those things. I just feel like I'm not in the right place when I don't already know the lore and the setting. If it's a deep lore. Um, so so to get back to the point though, that means the setting needs to have some amount of staying power too, which means it needs to have things to do, right? Like if you handed me a setting that basically just had monster stats and some ideas about dungeons, then all I'm going to be doing is dungeon crawls. That's going to get boring to me at some point. That point may be a full year depending on how often we play, but it's going to happen. Maybe for some people, sticking around the same RPG system for a year is like, wow, that really worked, but not for me. I don't get that. The first time I played Rollmaster, well, not the very first time, but the campaign, we played for a little over 2 years, and we stopped, and we were kind of okay with going to a different idea, but at the same time, I was like, dang it, I wanted more of this character. I wanted more of these characters. I wanted to go up against that nemesis we had more, So staying power. Enough flexibility so that you can try out lots of different PC character ideas. And enough different things to do in the world. If anybody's got any input on that, please speak now so we can talk about that. Questions, comments,